Snipers, you have to see what's happening to the Bitcoin price this Monday as we are breaking out of this bullish symmetrical triangle exactly as we predicted on the channel yesterday. Knowing that there was low volume, we were expecting this move, and with a potential price target right now of 72,000 US dollars for Bitcoin based on the bullish symmetrical triangle's base, this is a very big day for not just Bitcoin, as it has surpassed the market cap of Tesla, but Ethereum also breaking back into price discovery, conquering major resistance levels. This is a very big puzzle piece to talk about today, because with Ethereum breaking into price discovery, the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart is actually pulling to the downside below the weekly open right now, also causing the altcoins outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum to see a retest of its 200-day moving average, as we were sitting above the 150-day moving average. But with this move to the upside and this weakness in altcoins, there is a lot of dynamics to talk about today here on the 4-Dimensional Snipers channel, and then we'll cover traditional markets as we always do. But let's just first talk about what's happening here to Bitcoin. And before we go into the more intraday analysis, because now that we're seeing a market structural resistance break and we have a potential target of 72,000, we can start looking at the micro time frames. We also want to start looking at the total cryptocurrency market cap chart, because this is a very big puzzle piece to talk about today, forming new all-time highs alongside Ethereum, but the altcoins outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum showing weakness. This tells me that there is certainly new money coming into the market. So we're not just seeing Bitcoin move up because Ethereum is selling off into Bitcoin, but there's truly money coming not just into Bitcoin, but Ethereum. But what about the other altcoins, and what does that mean for the more macro perspective? We're going to talk about those puzzle pieces today. We have a lot to discuss, a lot from the Discord group. We have the #1 cryptocurrency Discord group in the world. I see here Newbie posted this just now. He says, I think possibly regarding your theory that the alts will dump, the Ethereum to Bitcoin might be actually in a triangle, which takes it down first, letting Bitcoin dominance to gain some traction and make new highs while the alts start rallying in December. So are we truly going to be seeing a delayed reaction for altcoins? That's also on the table. Let's dive into this Bitcoin intraday analysis. We have a lot to talk about this Monday. We have resetted our previous weekly opens, as we always do here on the Snipers channel, and our current previous weekly open is sitting just at the monthly open at 61,300. But with Bitcoin above 64,855, this is the previous all-time high. So this is going to be the most important resistance and support level if Bitcoin is not able to continue to see price action above 67,000, which at this point, if we get above 67,000, the likelihood that 70,000 and potentially even further price targets for Bitcoin comes on the table becomes extremely high. And so we're going to really hone in on this range today, because this is going to be the storyline over the next week, and that's going to be the $64,855 level and the $67,000 level. That is currently the playing field that we're in, and if we see Bitcoin's price move above this extremely important resistance at 67,000, we can assume that bullish scenario for price discovery. Now, if we see any downside, 64,855 must hold. Below that, we have a major support at 63,300. And then, of course, the most important support level at this point, if we were to break down below 64,855, is going to be 61,844. Now, because we're seeing everything by the textbook with this bullish symmetrical triangle breaking out before reaching 70% towards the apex, exactly as we've been saying here on the Snipers channel, I know it's been quite the sideways price action over the last few weeks. However, we knew that as the volume started to come down, we were going to expect a move at some point or another. Now, let's talk about the volume now that we're bringing it up. Notice how the volume with this breakout is still quite low. I wouldn't necessarily call this maybe massive institutional participation, but it certainly looks like some sort of institutional participation, because this is the most buy volume that we've seen since Bitcoin formed its new all-time high on the 20th of October, topping out around that $67,000 level. And so knowing that we're seeing the volume comparative to that, I think is a very neutral bullish puzzle piece for this move when it comes to the intraday perspective, which means that things look still quite strong for Bitcoin, and the likelihood that we do come test this major structural resistance 67,000 is quite high. And so I don't think we need to go more into the 3-hour time frame to the 15-minute time frame because of the fact that the volume necessarily has just started to come in and it hasn't necessarily been the best type of volume, but that is a huge puzzle piece from the 6-hour chart that we can really digest right now, knowing the fact that this move still looks like there's gas in the tank for it. And then when we look at what's happening to Ethereum, which is extremely important right now, being the fact that it's above major resistance level in price discovery, the question is, if we truly want to see Ethereum continue to upside without having to rely on Bitcoin, then we need to see strength of the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart, which we are not seeing right now in reaction to this move to the upside for Bitcoin. And that's a thesis that goes in line with what we've been following on this channel, that Bitcoin dominance could potentially be in the early signs of reversal, which is why we're seeing the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart push to the downside and the Bitcoin dominance chart obviously pushing to the upside in reaction to this. And so this is what we've been waiting for. This is what we've been monitoring. So it's good to see the storyline continue when it comes to the more macro perspective. So it still looks like that Bitcoin dominance is potentially still in its early phases of reversal based on today and yesterday's price action. And how is that affecting the altcoins outside of Ethereum? Well, notice here with the altcoins outside of Ethereum, we're also seeing downside. So this is a very big puzzle piece because that tells us that if the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart is a leading indicator for the altcoins outside of Ethereum, then it's truly acting as a leading indicator with the altcoins outside of Ethereum not necessarily getting as high as Ethereum did when it comes to its strength against Bitcoin. Before now seeing this downside move, we're also seeing the weakness in the altcoins outside of Ethereum, which means that the altcoins are following Ethereum. And so everything is still intact as we've been following here on the Snipers channel. I know sometimes it takes time for the more macro perspectives to play out on the intraday time frame. But I think that the biggest puzzle piece I'd like to leave you guys home with before we go into the more four-dimensional aspect of traditional markets is the fact that despite the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart moving to the downside and the altcoins outside of Ethereum also showing some weakness with this move to the upside for Bitcoin, what a lot of people could assume is, okay, well, that means Bitcoin is only seeing upside because it's the same money in the market coming into Bitcoin. But I would digress that theory by showing you this total cryptocurrency market cap chart actually forming new all-time highs today, which means that maybe the money is just being put in places that are more conservative. So we're still seeing new money come into this market, which is also a very bullish macro puzzle piece that we're seeing right now. And that's the fact that the total market cap is able to form new highs despite altcoins not necessarily being in favor. But this right here tells us that it's not just the same money moving around the market. There's certainly new money coming into this market. And I think that that's a very important puzzle piece to take home. And knowing the most important range that we're going to be monitoring here for Bitcoin at 64,855 and 67,000 before potentially reaching the $72,000 target, the question is, how is the environment outside of Bitcoin in order to support this move? Well, the DXY right now, notice how we're coming down to test 93.82. This is the major support level for the DXY that we need to monitor. If we see price action below this level, that will support the thesis that Bitcoin has even more fuel to go to the upside. But if we stay above 93.82, I would say that the DXY is still in a neutral position and it's not necessarily acting in the favor of the crypto market, but it's also not necessarily acting against it. If we start to see strength here, it could start acting against it. Now the S&P 500 still showing strength. There's nothing here that is worrisome, and that's a good thing. So I would say that's a positive for the Bitcoin price and the overall cryptocurrency market to know that traditional markets are doing well. And then realize this, gold, remember, ended the week last week with a bullish continuation candle, and you can see we're actually seeing strength today as well. This is going to be something I think we need to monitor over the next few days, because if we see continued upside for gold, that could be an indicator of institutional fear in traditional assets or maybe high risk assets, putting capital back into gold is a very good indicator of the psychology of how institutions are allocating their money in this market. So very interesting puzzle pieces. Gold doesn't necessarily give us much hints right now, but I think that over the next week it could. And then we'll also monitor the gold to Bitcoin chart. Now, with international markets quickly, Japan, China, the Euro 100, not necessarily doing much today, kind of sitting within the same range of the previous candle bodies that closed on Friday. So there's not much to get out of that. But I think the biggest thing to realize today, to wrap up and conclude this video, snipers, is the fact that with Bitcoin moving to the upside right now, it's certainly showing that there's new money coming into this market, but the thesis that altcoins are not necessarily going to be in favor right now is still on the table because of the way the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart reacted to this move to the upside. And so that tells me that there certainly is some Ethereum moving into Bitcoin in order to fuel this push to the upside. But it, based on the total market cap, isn't all of the fuel that's pushing this move to the upside. And so I think that over the next few days, we're really going to start uncovering a lot more truths to what Bitcoin has in store for us. 67,000 right now as a major resistance. We get above that, 72,000 is potentially where we're going to find the next level of calmness. And so we'll continue to monitor that. We are breaking out of the triangle, so that's going to be the trend to watch. We'll continue to monitor the support levels. If they come back on the table, then we'll address potential downside targets. With that, thank you all for tuning in to the Snipers channel today. Until next time, snipers.